And welcome back to Lanticor. I was about to say who would win, but it's Lanticor. Today's Lanticor comes to us from NASCAR 453. What's the question? What is the Lanticor of the original, the OG Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Boop, boop, boop. I mean, I watch Power Rangers, and you can't help but get in the because come on, man, that's childhood right there. This is a bit difficult because it's a group of 5 initially, and then you include Tommy, and that's a group of 6. I used the Green Ranger picture here, but he was ultimately the White Ranger by the end of the original run of the Power Rangers. And then you get the what was it? Power Rangers, was it Zero Force, something like that, where he became the Red Ranger. Then he's also the Black Ranger in Dino Thunder. Or is it Dino Force? I think it's Dino Thunder. He's been multiple Rangers over multiple courses of history. But the problem is they're all individual in their own right, but many of them don't really have personalities that stray really far beyond a central theme. Like, they're good people, they have problems, and they fight the villains. So that it does pose a bit of a problem. Like, I can't really do each of them individually. If you gave me them individually, I might be able to figure something more in depth out for each of them. The only ones personality-wise who really stand out are Jason, are Tommy, and to some degree Katrina. Is it Katrina? The Pink Ranger. To some degree Katrina. Whereas Billy, oh god, and I can't remember the other two names. The others two. Billy, the Blue Ranger, what was the Black Ranger's name? What was the Yellow Ranger's name? Was it Tina? I want to say Tina? Or maybe? Anyway, the Yellow Ranger and the Black Ranger. Anyway, they're kind of, Billy's got a little bit of personality, sure, but both, and they all have some level of personality. It's just not really beyond, like, bare bone basic stuff. At least not in terms of qualifying for a Lantern Ring. So let's get a couple of the ones out of the way that I really don't think they qualify for as a team. We're going to basically look at what this group as a group could qualify for. So Rage, Tommy's really the only one who can kind of qualify for that. And the group itself, no. And only Tommy during his working for Rita days as the Green Ranger, not as a member of the actual Rangers itself. So Red's out of the equation. Compassion, I mean, they're all compassionate, sure, but they're all teenagers with attitude. There's only so much compassion you have, and as a group, I don't think they really all qualify for that. Nor do they all qualify for it. In fact, none of them qualify for avarice, in my opinion. Despite the fact they're all teenagers with attitude, they're not really greedy individuals. And yes, the avarice lantern also magnifies your greed intensely, but that doesn't really matter if you don't have a lot of greed in your heart to begin with. So there's that. The black ring only really goes to individuals who have died or are dead or have been just so engrossed and embody and enjoy death so much that they are they could just have a Black Lantern ring just naturally like that. So none of them can qualify for that despite all the monsters they've killed. And I'll also say love is not really on the menu. Although there's a story which I believe it's Katrina, is the Pink Ranger's name. Katrina and Tommy to some degree. I don't think any of them really are motivated by love in that general sense. Now, fear is one I want to talk about because I suppose you could see an argument for fear. Rita keeps setting monsters. She sees them as a threat. She probably is in some level afraid of them. Same with Lord Zed to some degree. And like any villain who is setting, their minions and monsters out against the Rangers is probably on some level afraid of them. I just don't see them as good fits for fear just because they as a group may be posing a threat, but they don't inspire great fear. So an argument might be able to be made, but I don't see it. What I do see, though, wrong one. What I do see, though, is Will being a very likely candidate for the group. They're teenagers with attitude. They didn't start out being, so brave they could take on all these monsters with no problem without flinching. No, they obviously had to grow and deal with the fact that they are now these superheroes, basically, and have to fight possible global threats on a daily basis. Well, maybe not daily, but on a regular basis. And even then, they had to overcome even greater obstacles. Not just Rita, but then you have her minions. Goldar is very famous. Then you got Lord Zed and Serpentaro, who could literally destroy a planet. And then you get you had like Ivan Ooze in the movie. Like, they had to keep fighting stronger and more dangerous and more threatening individuals. So the level of danger they had to go up against increased as their careers as Rangers went on. So it actually makes a lot of sense that they had to continue to overcome great fear. And they all had a great willpower ultimately in the end. So Will, I think, is a very strong candidate. But another strong candidate is Hope. Because, let's be honest, Zordon puts all of his faith and trust in them. Like, the fate of a lot of people is in their hands. So you have to have a lot of faith and a lot of trust and a lot of hope to be placed in you to, have that kind of responsibility. And Zordon, I think, Zordon and Alpha really kind of do that, as well as their friends and each other. So I think Hope is a solid candidate as well. And the last one I think we want to talk about is the White Lantern ring. This one I think is probably the least likely, but it's still a possibility. And I am referring again to the Rangers as a total group because they draw their power from the morphing grid, which is, I can't remember, it's an energy source, tied to, the energy. I can't remember exactly how the morphing grid works, but it's life energy to some degree that's tied to them, but it can be overwhelmed. But they're also protecting the innocent on a day-to-day basis, protecting life and keeping it safe, and they're alive, so that helps too. I think their status as protectors, I think, kind of helps with the whole Life Lantern argument, but it is on the weak side of it. So while I think it is possible, I think it's also it's the weakest option between the three. So that leaves us with green and blue. Now, green and blue are unique among the Lantern rings, that they're the only two rings that you could literally have both of them, and it's totally fine. As long as your will and faith and your hope/faith stay intact, you can literally have both these rings, and it's not a problem. Because they actually both work in tandem with each other. They both strengthen each other. Now, do I think it's possible? Sure, half the group could have a blue lantern ring, half the group could have a green lantern ring. That's entirely possible. There's 6 of them. Do I think it's likely? Honestly, no. I think the more likely candidate is actually the green lantern ring. I think they would function as a core of Green Lanterns. And this is because while Zordon and Alpha do place a lot of faith in them and hope in them, the fact is, throughout the entirety of their, the series, they're having to face great odds, overcome great fear, and use their will more oftentimes than not. And Zordon, despite all of his great influence and whatnot, is only one individual still. And Alpha is only one. There's only 2 individuals that really are placing a lot of faith and hope in them. So I do not see. This isn't like when I did Naruto, where he literally inspires and puts hope and faith into nearly everyone he meets. No, this is just Zordon and Alpha. So, and I mean, sure, like maybe the citizens of Angel Groves who at least know of the Power Rangers may do that as well. But still, I think it's more likely that they would be Green Lanterns overall. It just makes more sense with everything they've gone through in the story of Power Rangers. It just makes more sense. In my opinion, it makes more sense. So, for me, I go Green Lanterns with a secondary option of Blue Lanterns and an argument to be made for white and possibly maybe yellow. I think white's a more likely candidate than yellow anyway. But I digress. That is my thoughts on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in terms of what Lantern Corps they belong in. But what Lantern Corps do you think the Rangers as a group belong in? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.